Tupac died, everything was in like haywire. Everybody was leaving Death Row.
When we started it, it was just like a big family thing, you know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate that things turned out the way they did, but nobody knows what the future holds.
Because he was there, that it was over Michelet. You know, Suge was f***ing on Michelet, and Dre said, f*** this dude.
We spoke with the people who controlled Death Row, and they chose to ignore us.
So everything you seen around that was G'd up. You had to be G'd up, otherwise you gotta go.
I told Dog, I'm getting off of Death Row and get the out of here.
Even though Suge Knight currently resides behind bars, his formidable presence still casts a shadow over the memories of those who worked alongside him, as recently revealed by Kurupt. The former Death Row artist has provided a chilling account of the brutal tactics employed by Knight to maintain his grip on artists under his label. These haunting recollections offer a glimpse into the ruthless world that Knight orchestrated during his time at Death Row Records.
Everybody loved it in the beginning. Sometimes it gets surreal.
During hip-hop's golden era on the West Coast, Suge Knight held a dual role, navigating both the streets and the music scene. His streetwise authority and commanding presence were synonymous, overseeing a record label that catapulted artists like Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Tupac to fame.
Next year, Death Row gonna start printing our own money.
During the 1990s, the label maintained its supremacy in the hip-hop realm, unleashing a series of timeless albums that played a pivotal role in shaping the rap genre's sonic landscape. Among its lineup of artists were legendary and impactful figures in hip-hop history, such as Tupac Shakur and Dr. Dre.
You claim to be a player, but I your wife. Any you niggas from New York that wanna bring it, bring it.
Yet, following Tupac's tragic murder, a profound shift occurred within Death Row Records. The label's artists, including Kurupt, Nate Dogg, and Daz, faced financial and legal struggles. Consequently, Suge Knight's influence emerged as a decisive factor in the downfall of Death Row.
They was not scared of Suge Knight. They was terrified.
The record company faced a barrage of legal challenges and financial woes. Suge Knight's confrontational approach to management and alleged engagement in unlawful activities resulted in a series of legal entanglements and arrests. The label's triumphant era started dwindling in the late 1990s, prompting several of its prominent artists to depart for rival record labels.
The first one to leave was Dr. Dre. The second one to leave Death Row was Kurupt. The third one to leave Death Row was Snoop.
Suge Knight, once a record producer and owner of Death Row Records, garnered attention not only for his musical pursuits, but also for his contentious and aggressive conduct, earning him the moniker Boogeyman. His infamously controversial and frequently violent actions solidified his reputation as a notorious presence within the music industry.
Like, man, everybody go out. I'm in front of the camera like this. Running.
His alleged involvement in the murder of Tupac significantly contributed to his ensuing infamy. Numerous individuals speculate that Suge's connection to the shooting of Tupac stems from the fact that he was present alongside Tupac on the fateful night of his death.
Not just by being in the car with the murders, but he was more involved than people think. It was the conversations and all that that led up to that day.
Furthermore, Suge's notoriety for aggression and intimidation within the music industry and beyond was extensively recorded. As an example, he allegedly assaulted Vanilla Ice's security personnel and purportedly threatened to dangle him from a balcony unless he relinquished the rights to his hit track Ice Ice Baby to Suge's record label.
I had my bodyguards who had guns, and they had their people which had guns, and they had us outpowered and outnumbered.
Furthermore, he was convicted of various other charges, including illegal possession of a deadly weapon and domestic violence. The connection of Knight with the Bloods gang has led to speculation that he might have leveraged his music industry connections to further the gang's interests.
So if you shoot somebody, you go to jail forever. So the kids, you don't want to go to jail forever, right?
Kurupt has disclosed that the passing of Tupac underscored the perilous nature of the Death Row Records environment, ultimately motivating his decision to part ways with the label. During a recent conversation with The Art of Dialogue, the Dog Pound rapper conveyed that, in alignment with Dr. Dre's example, he sought an exit from his contract when he noticed an increasing resemblance between life at the label and the dangers of street life experienced by all Death Row artists. Everywhere we was going, we had to keep our eyes open, 10 toes on the ground, he recalled. We had to stay heated and make sure that we protected ourselves. And then to go to death row and feel the same way as when we in the streets. We all got kinda burnt on that. He elaborated further, noting that although his fellow group members Snoop Dogg, Daz Dillinger, and Superfly remained under Death Row's contract following Dr. Dre's departure, he found himself unable to dismiss the nagging concern that even Suge Knight's presence couldn't guarantee their security.
Keep our eyes open, 10 toes on the ground. We had to stay heated and make sure that we protected ourselves.
Kurupt revealed that the rap battles of the past were incredibly fierce, to the point where Suge Knight, the founder of Death Row Records, was ready to offer record deals to any artist who could outmatch Kurupt. I remember Death Row was giving out deals if you could serve Kurupt, the rapper revealed. Remember we was out of town? 3 guys came up, and these other 2 guys. Guy, if you can serve Kurupt, you can get a deal. This is particularly interesting, given how much Death Row Records and Tupac seem to value hardcore rap. A recently revealed rare video features Tupac Shakur expressing his thoughts about MC Hammer's hit single Can't Touch This, suggesting that the rapper was watering down the essence of hip-hop. In the rare clip, Dominique DePrima of Kron TV receives an unexpected response from Tupac when she inquires about his favorite rap song. Prior to posing the question to the 20-year-old Tupac, the host first tells DJ Fuse, who is seated alongside the young artist of Tupacalypse Now fame, "I'm not going to ask you because you're going to say something like Raw Fusion," DePrima says to Fuse on the Up special hip-hop show. Consisting of Money B and DJ Fuse, Raw Fusion is a hip-hop group out of Oakland. Tupac, all too familiar with its members who like himself were part of Digital Underground, surprisingly gave the host his favorite rap song, Can't Touch This by MC Hammer, Tupac said, "'cause it's raging and it's funky dance steps." Amidst laughter from Tupac, the host playfully queried the audience about the prevalent lack of seriousness towards MC Hammer, highlighting the fact that he had achieved remarkable success by selling 10 million albums. "I'm not getting on Hammer. He did sell 10 million records, but crack fiends bought 10 million rocks. Doesn't mean crack is good. Selling records don't mean nothing." Furthermore, during a recent appearance on Homegrown Media Group, seasoned rapper and producer Daz Dillinger also shared an anecdote about the most substantial payment he ever received. He attributed this sizable check to none other than former CEO of Death Row Records, Suge Knight, but not without highlighting that the transaction didn't occur without a touch of drama. Daz recounted a 1997 episode where he compelled Knight to issue him a significant check by employing a bit of force, wielding a screwdriver in the process.
Like this.
Sugar, big
Like,
old.
I'm gonna stick you.
Yeah. Oh.
He's like, hold on, Dad.
hold on, let me go get
Go in the office. And I walked out of there with 2.5.
He further went on, saying, "I had to give Kurupt some too. I had to go in and strong-arm Suge to get the money. I had everybody in the office hemmed up against the wall. We on mushrooms. We in that lit. They're in the corner laughing. I felt a little something. I ran. Had a big diesel screwdriver. You know them big long diesel screwdrivers?" According to Daz, the tension arose when he sought compensation for his 1996 collaboration with Nate Dogg titled Just Doggin', a track included on the Sunset Park soundtrack.
I had to go in there and strong arm Suge and them to get the money. I had everybody in their office hemmed up against the wall, nigga. We on mushrooms.
Are you?
In the fucking lit.
Another beef occurred between Nate Dogg and Suge Knight when Nate sought royalties from Suge. R&B vocalist Nate Dogg took legal action to prevent the financially troubled owner of Death Row Records in Los Angeles from using funds to cover overdue royalties. In publicly disclosed court records, Nathaniel Nate Dogg Hale argued that Marion Suge Knight's other enterprises were distinct from Knight and his Death Row Records, asserting that these entities were not even legitimate legal entities.
Famous for applying the old mafia tactics, and you instill fear in everybody by and one person will excuse my language, but I mean, that's...
The public also has some similar views about Suge Knight. One of them said, "So all this time, while Suge was trying to be the Billy Bad villain bully in rap, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, and P. Diddy were busy establishing themselves and building their career and stacking millions. Everybody he tried to take out the game is still here. Where is he now? Even Tupac is still living on. Suge wasted too much energy on the wrong things." But for other fans, Suge Knight deserves some respect. One of them said, "Say what you want about Suge. There have been numerous attempts on this man's life, and he hasn't ratted out a soul. Dude has balls of steel and def more gangsta than a lot of people." Because Nate Dogg contributed to more than 60 chart singles for the company, he was seeking $10 million from Knight. By using the other companies, Knight employed Death Row Records to acquire and exploit valuable intellectual property rights of Nate Dogg by misrepresenting the rapper's contractual status with Death Row, the documents said. When Nate Dogg asked about royalties, he said Knight claimed Death Row didn't generate any profits, but led Nate Dogg to believe he would be paid. Nate Dogg stated that he was not included in the records that Knight submitted to the bankruptcy court, and he was also unaware of the deadline set in September 2006 for filing a claim, according to the court papers. In April 2006, Death Row Records and Knight initiated Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection proceedings, disclosing debts of $137.4 million alongside assets totaling $4.4 million. Suge Knight's legacy in the music industry is tainted by a trail of manipulation and sinister methods, leaving a grim path for many of the rappers who were once under his influence. Through his cunning and ruthless tactics, he wielded control over artists, only for them to witness harsh and often tragic downfalls.